Between 1914 and 1918, battles went on throughout Europe and is remembered as the Great War. As 2018 becomes the anniversary of the end of the First World War, the Rifles Museum in Salisbury is dedicating some exhibition space to soldiers in the area that fought.
So we start in the March, when we have the German offensive, where we have got the most significant German advance since 1914. Then in July and August we have the Allied counterattack, which leads then to the armistice, which is declared on the 11th of November 1918, and eventually to the Peace Treaty of Versailles, which is signed in June of 1919. And our exhibition also counts the fact that the soldiers who though the war ended on the 11th of November 1918, the army was still deployed in Germany right up to and beyond the time of the peace treaty, and also there were British troops that were deployed in Russia, where the communist revolution was taking place.
Both soldiers from the Berkshire and Wiltshire battalions were deployed along the Western Front during the Great War, along with battalions deployed in the Middle East. Simon says the infantry played the most significant part in the army during the conflict.
We are familiar with many of the pictures of the Battle of Passchendaele and the mud in particular that came towards the end of the trench warfare. I think we've got there was a huge sense of camaraderie at the start of the war. Remember that the army was overcome by people who were volunteering to join, and then people were struck by the enormous casualties and the miserable conditions that were brought on in what was, after all, one of the first industrial wars in the world's history.
The War and Peace exhibition hopes to bring to light both the courageous and tragic experiences that occurred in the lives of Berkshire and Wiltshire soldiers at the time.
We have got examples of where the King has awarded a Distinguished Conduct Medal to a soldier who was at that time in Battle Hospital. And we have got here also the records of soldiers who, a second lieutenant in particular, and it gives his account of a day when he was leading an entire company, or what was left of it, and for the gallantry that he showed doing that. And also we have covered the fact that some soldiers were taken off for prisoners of war and the conditions that they endured, and then also some of the difficulties of when soldiers who were demobilised, and bear in mind that after the armistice in 1918, large numbers of men were demobilised and therefore were looking for work. And for some of them it was quite easy to find work, and others found it a bit difficult.
After the opening of the museum by the Duke of Edinburgh in 1982, the museum say it's important that people today understand what has happened throughout military history across the world.
I hope that people would leave here with a sense of pride in what their ancestors had done, a sense of respect for what they had done, and also a sense that they've got to be very careful about how we regard world events and realise that they do have an impact on us.
The exhibition will be on display until the 30th of November. Cara Digby, That's TV.